Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for a radio audience here in the South at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all can be with us. Also, tuning in to our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all can be with us as well. Well, it is already, of course, getting warmer here in Mississippi where I live, and so a lot of people are already being able to fire up the grill. Whether you're looking for some spring or some summer grilling ideas, we're excited about our next two guests that are joining us today. We have joining us celebrity chef Lamar as well as rancher Coleman Locke. We're going to talk to them not only about what it's been like for John to be able to share his family's ranching traditions, but also some great ideas for you guys as we're kind of thinking about recipes for this time of year as well. Thanks to the two of you for the time. Really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
John, let me start with you because I think it's always interesting, especially here in Mississippi where I live. Of course, we always think about, especially for those who have ranches, what it's been like for them to be able to do the work that they love. This is something that's been in your family for quite some time. Tell us a little bit, John, about your own family's ranching tradition.
Sure. So, Cyrus, you hear the word sustainability thrown around a lot. It's become quite the buzzword in our society the last couple of decades. And really, in reality, for the average ranching family, sustainability has been a way of life, and they've pretty much lived it for many generations. And my family's no different. So I'm a sixth-generation member of the J.D. Hudgens family. We've been ranching here on the Gulf Coast of Texas, going back about 140 years in the same area. And one of the things that I've learned there is one of the long-term keys to success is that you really need to be in sync with nature. Our goal is to pass the business on to the next generation. And in order to do that, you have to care for the business, but you also have to care for the land. So our connection to nature is very important to us.
John, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I think, again, as I mentioned, I live here in Mississippi, and the land, of course, is one of the things that does come up a lot, sustainability, as you mentioned. We do hear those words. What are some of the things you do to make sure you're caring for the land?
One of the main things we do is we have a managed grazing program. Very few people know that the number of cattle in North America today is very similar to the number of bison that would have been present here several hundred years ago. So our managed grazing program kind of mimics the way that the bison grazed. We allow recovery of plants. We move cattle frequently to fresh pastures, and then that's good for the plants. That's also good for the soil. All of our biological activities and the environment are improved. Animal health is improved. And it's not just good for all that in the environment. It's also good for the people, the end user, the consumer, and also the people that operate those systems.
Such a great point. Well, Chef Lamar, I really appreciate you joining us as well. I mean, of course, as I mentioned, this time of year, we are thinking about firing up the grill. I mean, already here in Mississippi, the weather's been warm here already for a while, so I've already heard my friends talk about grilling. What are some ideas you have for our audience, Chef Lamar, when it comes to grilling during this time of year?
Sure. I mean, one of the first things is sitting someone like John is basically when you go in a grocery store chain, talking with your butcher, certain cuts, you can find cuts already readily available, and or they can make signature cuts, and it gives that closer, farm to table reach in the store. The other thing is being able to cook your beef properly. So using a cast iron, which I prefer, on a grill, oiling those down very, very well, and then allowing your meat to temper. So what that does is allows the normal, instead of your meat being ice cold, once you put it in the pan, then the juices will naturally redistribute. And then when you're taking your meat off the grill, allowing it to rest as well, about 4 to 5 minutes. And what that does, the natural juices then redistribute as well, and you have really good unctuous flavor. And I always, vary on simple salt and pepper in there. I want to pull up that natural flavor of the beef. All, rubs are optional, but I just go simple salt and pepper on there when it comes to steaks.
Got you. Chef Lamar, I'm sure you get asked these questions a lot when it comes to cooking because people want to cook like you. They want to cook like the professionals, right? So do you have any other tips for our audience when it comes to how they can make the most of their grill out for their friends and family?
Sure, absolutely. One of the things I get asked a lot, too, is how much beef should I buy? And, for amount of people. And one of the things I recommend, so ribeye is one of my favorite cuts. So when I'm going to the grocery store, again, when you talk with your butcher, sometimes you can buy a whole prime rib or a half prime rib, And slow cooking is one option. Throwing them in a smoker, which a lot of people have started to see are, buying smokers at home. And even if you don't have a smoker at home, one other option, again, using that whole primer is, again, I go back to that salt and pepper method, like really, really heavily salt and pepper it. And I use cracked black pepper and kosher salt or sea salt, and then I'm roasting in the oven low and slow. I use like 275 for a few hours, and then obviously checking in where you want that internal temperature, which mine I love, mid-rare, and then again allowing to rest and then slicing. So those are some of my tips, or using a whole fillet as opposed to medallions. You can slice those when they're done and nicely seared and cooked, and then that's enough for a family of 4 to 5, depending on your leisure.
Love it. Great tips, and I really appreciate you joining John today. Not only of course, to talk about sustainability when it comes to the land and, of course, the cattle, but also, of course, some great ideas for our audience as we're thinking about spring and summer grilling. Again, everyone, celebrity chef Lamar Moore has been our guest, along with rancher John Coleman Locke. Really appreciate the two of you. Chef Lamar, where can our audience go for more information?
Sure. You can find more classic recipes like this and more at beefitswhat'sfordinner.com.
All right. We'll make sure that we link that up for our audience. Thanks again to the two of you. Looking forward to having you guys back on the show again.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, Cyrus.
All right. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.